Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. For the sake of time, we're going to start, and the others are going to be joining us as we go along. I thank you very much for coming back, for being with us, and I think today is going to be an exciting day. Today, we are going to grasp or look at the meat of ADF. There was a commercial once in the US political elections, and someone was talking about a hamburger. The politicians were talking about a hamburger, and then one of the people said, but there's no meat in the hamburger, it's just bread. So yesterday we had bread, today we're having the meat itself. So to kickstart off the day, we're going to be looking at the future of food deliveries in Africa. Pierre, if you're here, please come up. Please give a hand to Pierre. He's going to tell us about food, which is very, very important. We need to feed our people. Let's see how we can do that.
So, good morning, everybody. My name is Pierre Lucas. I am working for the World Food Programme. I am based in Ethiopia, where I am managing our air operation. And just as an introduction, I would like to mention that in WFP, the drones activity are divided between three departments with our air safety team. But we have divided the business between aviation, focusing on the cargo drones, cargo operation, with tech, focusing on mapping and data collection, and with the collaboration and support of our aviation safety department, who is now step-by-step entering in the business. So, the future of food deliveries in Africa, the subject is quite vast, but I try to focus on the work. I will start my presentation from WFP, from our challenges, and then we will try to move to the urban problematics. I will give you a short presentation of WFP Aviation. We will talk of the food security challenge in Africa, and with two examples on which I'm working, the Ethiopian operation and South Sudan operation. We will talk of airdrops, perspective offered by big payload drones upcoming, with the short term for WFP, the Flyhawks, and then more food for thought, urban food deliveries. So a few words regarding WFP Aviation. Yesterday, so there is a logic, I think, in the agenda of this workshop. We saw the presentation of colleague from UNICEF. The mandate of WFP is food assistance and the end of hunger. In the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, we have two key goals under our mandate: end of hunger, SDG 2, and service provision, SDG 17. WFP is the logistic arm of the UN, and we have aviation department that I compare in size to a company like Alitalia, the fleet, the organization with a training department, etc. So we are responsible of the UNAS, the United Nations Humanitarian Air Service, providing an air service for humanitarian, the transport of humanitarian passengers in 17 countries. We have 271 destinations. We are transporting more than 400,000 passengers every year, performing more than 1,400, these are the figures for 2019, evacuation, and transporting more than 3,400 metric tons of cargo. This is the UNAS business. But WFP Aviation is also responsible of air freight transport through charter flight and ad hoc operation And under this ad hoc charter, etc., in 2019, we have transported more than 9,000 passengers and 35,000 metric tons of cargo. We are managing 2 planes for UNHCR and 1 plane for UNDSS. So this is the core aviation business for WFP. And this is under a logistic operation. Step by step, the aviation department of WFP is entering in the drone business, and in particular with a focus on cargo drones. We will come back to that. So the food security challenge in Africa. Just to move to the problematics, I will go to the World Food Summit that was organized by FAO in 2019 in August in Copenhagen. And few figures to underline the upcoming challenges. The global population is really growing, and in 2015, we will have to feed 10 billion of people on a manner that advances economic development, but also reduce the impact on climate, water, and ecosystem. The global population is around 7 billion people now, and we will reach 10 billion in 2050. We have to increase the food production of 50% by 2050. And this, if we look the surface that have to be put in culture to feed this population is 600 million hectares. And according to the World Resources Institute, agriculture and related land use generate 25% of the annual greenhouse worldwide. So we have plenty of challenge regarding the increase of the global population and the challenge that we have to feed. To feed this population. Now we move to the case of Ethiopia and South Sudan. Every year in Ethiopia, WFP has the responsibility to feed 8 million people. The population, this is 8% of the population of Ethiopia. The country, second most populated country in Africa, is facing some challenge of drought, floods, climate change, but also inter-ethnic clash. We have a huge population of refugees from Somalia, from South Sudan, and 8% of the population of Ethiopia is dependent of the food aid. In South Sudan, this is half of the population, 5 million. And I put the map of South Sudan because we are facing some big access challenges in South Sudan. 30% of the territory is not accessible during the rainy season. So for us, and in terms of food security, we are facing some huge challenge. Just to give you some figures, and we will move step by step to the drone subject. In Ethiopia, this is 300,000 metric tons of food that are dispatched every year from 2 main logistic corridors, Djibouti and Berbera. And WFP is contracting every year almost 7,000 trucks to perform our mission. So you imagine the logistic behind this food aid. I talk about the road challenge and access challenge in South Sudan, but the logistic challenge are huge. For her mission in South Sudan, WFP is managing a big airdrop operation from Ethiopia. We are using currently Ilyushin, these Russian planes, cargo planes, for airdrop. In 2019, we have performed 348 rotation flights from Gambela. Gambela is a regional capital in the western part of Ethiopia. We have airdropped 10,500 metric tons of food. We have used last year, 8 million liters of fuel. You imagine the quantity of Jet A1 that we are using for this operation. In 2018, the fuel budget for this operation was $44 million US dollar. It was the first post of expenditure of the country office WFP in Ethiopia. It's huge. And in terms of operation, we are looking at the cost of 1 ton of cereal delivered on the ground. When we talk of airdrop operation for South Sudan, so our Ilyushin are flying every day. They are doing 1 or 2 rotations from Gambela to one. We have 140 airdrop locations in 3 main provinces of South Sudan. The cost of the ton of cereal delivered on this way is 1,500 US dollar per metric ton. So let's look at this figure, because in terms of food deliveries, this is the indicator that we are using to measure the efficiency and the cost of the operation. I just show you a very short movie, 1 minute, about this operation. It's in French, sorry. So from the extreme west of Ethiopia, 28 tons of cereal are loaded in an Ilyushin. And transported What is amazing on this operation is the coordination between the crew members, navigator, pilot, and the cargo compartment. And for each drop, we are doing a dry pass and then 3 drop. We are dropping 10 metric tons per pass. And between each drop, we have to recondition and reposition the pallet in the plane. So these are the current operation and challenge that we are facing for a humanitarian operation. Let's move to the drones and the perspective. WFP has started this drone business in 2017, and our ongoing drone operations are mainly focused on, for the time being, light drones for emergency preparedness, emergency response, disaster risk management, climate adaptation and response, capacity building, and very small cargo deliveries. So you have a map of WFP US footprint, but our philosophy was, if we start with light drones, we are preparing the field and working with the actors in the countries where we are working to prepare the field for bigger drones. So we have started with this capacity building exercise. Yesterday, Antonio Beleze gave a very good example of what we did in Mozambique this year in response to the cyclone Keynote and Idai, and the work that we have done in partnership with them. Now, let's look at the short future. Our team, and I am here with 6 colleagues from the 3 departments that I mentioned. And my colleague Oleg in Rome is looking at doing a kind of intelligence, technological intelligence work to see what is coming on the market and what will be available soon that could serve our operation. Alors, we are looking at different kind of drones, but I want to give some example. We have the Nautilus. The Nautilus is a 34 a drone with a capacity, a cargo capacity of 4 tons that is developed in California, that will be probably available. The first test flight will be done in 2020, and we hope, according to the manufacturer, a certification in 2022. The company is based in Richmond, California, and this kind of drone could help us to divide, and this is what we are looking at. The cost, I show you this 1,500 US dollar per metric ton delivered to divide the cost of delivery by 50%. This is the objective. We have also the sub-ring Regal, same type of drone, but VTOL, with a VTOL capacity under development. The company is also based in California. And in Alaska, the community of Simple Island have already contracted 4 of them. They will be the launching, not company, but a customer to supply their island. So we are also on a development phase and certification expected for 2022-2023. They are in discussion with FAA, but this is typically the type of drone that could serve food deliveries operation in Africa. WFP is working in some areas where we have some security issues like South Sudan, and the last mile delivery is something extremely important for us, where we can reduce the exposure of our staff to security concern. And we are looking at two Chinese products, the Fedong 98, it's a frame of Antonov 2. This drone is already flying. The payload capacity are really smaller, but for last mile delivery, this could be a tool that makes sense for our operation. And another product that is based on the frame of Pact 750. This one, the 8200 for the last mile delivery, is something that could be also of interest for us. Currently, I put here the time frame for the development and certification expected for this type of drones. On a WFP perspective, what we are expecting is to be able to divide the cost of the ton delivered by 50%. WFP is also working with Singular Aircraft and looking at very closely working with Singular Aircraft for the development of the Flyhawks. Sajiv from Astral in Nairobi will talk about that, but this is an amphibious drone that can do also some airdrop, and currently the company is doing some tests in Saint-Domingue, and we are hoping an experimental certification quite soon, and we would like to be part of the test of this tool for our last mile delivery operation. And we are looking and working with them on the test and expecting a very quick certification. This was the humanitarian business and what we are looking at in terms of food deliveries. Now I would like to, before the end of my presentation, talk about kind of food for thought and urban UAVs food deliveries. Because for me, there is a big market and challenge on that in Africa upcoming. Leslie mentioned it yesterday, the mobility in the context of the fourth industrial revolution in Africa. Also, the IT minister of Rwanda talked about it. The urbanization in Africa is really going extremely fast. 36% of the African population was urban population in 2010, and we are expecting for 2030, 50% of the population to be an urban population. There is a rapid growth of the population without improvement of the infrastructure. Many African towns are suffering of challenges in terms of roads, water supply, etc. The number of, we have 2 big megapoles in Africa, Lagos and Cairo, and 41 big cities, more than 2 million inhabitants. Currently, some tests are ongoing, in particular in the US, for urban drone deliveries. I mentioned three tests ongoing. In April 2019, FAA has granted some temporary experimental authorization for Google in Virginia. In May 2019, Amazon Prime, and in June in San Diego, Uber Eats has started some tests. I want to refer to a Forbes study, recent studies, the Forbes magazine, that was talking about these urban deliveries. And for me, there is a big perspective and challenge for Africa. According to the Wall Street Journal, currently we have 364 venture capital. The business for these drone deliveries, it's 4 billion invested in through venture capital in US companies and applications. According to the Forbes studies, when you use drones for food delivery in urban environment, you reduce the time of delivery. The average time of delivery is 5 to 10 minutes compared to 10 to 30 minutes by motorbike or normal vehicle. So you can do 15 deliveries in 1 hour versus 3 with the traditional road transport. And you decrease, by using drones, the cost of the transportation of the food or whatever from 15 to 30% to 5 to 10%. In the context of the urban growth in Africa, food, medical, whatever, I see a big perspective like the mobile revolution. We move from nothing to everybody with mobile phone. Yesterday, the introduction of the regional director from World Bank was extremely inspiring when he was talking about the economic perspective of this market. But the test that we are looking very closely at the current test in the US, because for me, the application in a big urban town in Africa, I live in Addis Ababa, and the perspectives are extremely interesting, just as food for talk. In conclusion, what are the bottleneck and current constraints for us? First of all, regulatory. We are, for example, in Ethiopia, we have launched a drone project. It's on case-by-case authorization. And we are really, I'm looking at our ICAO colleagues present here, looking forward a global regulation in terms of training, etc. The cross-border. My presentation, my example from South Sudan, we are on cross-border operation between Ethiopia and South Sudan. As soon as we'll be ready to start cross-border operation, it will make a huge difference for us. It will be discussed during this forum, but organization of the UTM, the safety, the question of certification and maintenance. I was mentioning the FlyOx. We are hoping an experimental certification for the time being to start our operation. But what type of certification for cargo drones? The training and the operator. And I will conclude on that. It's the first forum organized on this subject. And we are in front of a new industry that is growing and will come. On a WFP perspective, the way how we work in aviation, we are working with operators that are audited, certified by our aviation safety department, and they respond to our tender. Sometimes we need big cargo aircraft, sometimes we need only a Cessna Caravan for a particular operation, and they respond to our demand. We need to create an ecosystem of drone operators that are certified and that are able to respond to our demand for our operation. So for us, for WFP perspective, the creation of this ecosystem of drone operator certified with a certain standard. In aviation, we are using the UN AFSTAT, aviation standard. We need the same in the drone business. And we are starting, I will say, from zero, but to encourage and empower this new startup, these people, this challenge, to create strong operators is really a priority for WFP. Thank you very much for your attention. So we move from the humanitarian to the urban, but this is the way how we see the future of food deliveries in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pierre. Now we get to know why people say that the WFP has got the largest logistical framework for cargo and the largest number of planes in the world. Can I have the back, please? And so as usual, we at the ADF have to do this. I don't know what is inside, but thank you very much, okay, for your talk. So from food, still linked to food, we go to the earth. WFP delivers, but where does the food come from?